Welcome to the Ear for Fear podcast, the horror movie podcast that boils and ghouls and dead alike are screaming for. Don't be afraid to listen as Rick and the Creeps bore their way into your brains, slither down onto your arteries, into your still beating hearts.
Hi, welcome to the Ear for Fear podcast. This is the podcast that talks about scary movies or movies trying to be scary. You like that?
I do.
It's that pause, man.
Yeah, it's the pause.
It's that pause for effect.
It's the dramatic
pause. Anyways, I'm Rick. I got Darren over here, one of the creeps.
What's up?
And we got Shealee back in the house.
Hey.
My goddaughter, Darren's daughter. I mean, it's whatever. But more so my goddaughter's here. Last time she was...
Whoa.
Yeah, I'm glossing right over that.
What?
Godfather. Father. Whatever.
Okay, you know what? Really? That's how we're going to roll? We're going to roll with that? Okay.
Yeah, we're rolling with that.
Oh, I'm seeing.
Yeah, so Shealee was last out on The Exorcist.
Yeah, that was a while ago.
Time ago.
Yeah, that was a while ago. I don't remember how long ago that was, but yeah. So she's older, more mature. She's got better taste in music and movies, and hopefully she's getting a better taste in men or boys or whatever these days.
I'm trying.
Yeah.
But anyways, I thought what we could do is we hop in to my 1973 like yellow Volkswagen Beetle.
Sure.
Shealee, bring your big wheel if you want.
Yep.
Darren, grab your Apollo 11 sweater.
I will.
Because it's going to get cold, and we head over to the Overlook Hotel.
Oh, yeah.
So we can talk about 1980s The Shining.
We can get lost in a hedge maze.
Yeah,
Totally.
yeah. Stanley Kubrick's classic. Before we jump into this thing, let everyone know there's going to be spoilers.
1, 2, spoilers coming for you.
Yeah, man, I've been looking forward to talking about The Shining forever.
Me too.
I thought for sure we were gonna, hit on that movie like during the first 75 episodes. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. So,
Well, I think I purposely kind of put this one on the back burner because I know a lot of people talk about this movie and a lot of people have different interpretations and theories of this movie. And I was like, to me, it's just a very complex movie, I think. And so I think I was kind of...
Were you a little afraid to dive into
you.
that?
I was a little, intimidated to dive into this movie.
Yeah.
Because there's Stanley Kubrick was first of all, he was a brilliant filmmaker, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But his stuff is so complex, and I don't even know where to start on this friggin' movie. Like,
Didn't he do Eyes Wide Shut?
he did do Eyes Wide Shut. That was the last movie he did before he passed away.
Yeah.
Clockwork Orange, Full Metal Jacket, 2001: A Space Odyssey. Yeah, so he's done some he didn't do a lot of movies.
No, not really.
But he did a lot of classic movies.
Well, what he did do though was very dense and symbolism and hyper anal about detail.
Yeah.
The thing is with this movie, I think if I was to put one word on this, is uneasy.
Yeah,
It's unsettling.
It's really from the beginning of the movie.
it's too bad that Stephen King didn't really like his adaptation.
No.
I mean, he did stray away from it though. I did some research on that, and he certainly took a lot of liberties. That
Oh, sure he did. Yeah, and Stephen King didn't. No, he did not. He did not like it. I think he tried to throw a few compliments in there that it was, it was filmed, the way it was filmed, visually it was great and all these other things. But for the most part, no, he didn't seem to. He didn't seem to care for it too much.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think too, Stanley Kubrick, he wrote the screenplay and he was constantly rewriting it every single day. Mm-hmm. So every single day it was I think I read something that Jack Nicholson didn't even pay attention to the script anymore. Whatever new pages came, that's what he was memorizing.
Yeah.
Because he was constantly, and two, he put everyone through hell.
Well, I thought it was just oh God, what's that actress's name?
Shelley Duvall.
Shelley Duvall. I thought it was just her that he really.
Well, he was worse with her, from what I understand.
Yeah, well, because I mean, I think it's kind of a little messed up, but I mean, I think what was it? It was he was trying to get a certain performance out of her, anxiety and like fear and that whole thing, and that's a hard thing for an actor to pull off sometimes, is that true sense of just, fear and panic and, you know what I mean? And so at least that was the stuff that I had, was watching and had, researched was that he did that intentionally to just keep her a little messed up, but still.
I had read that he fed Jack Nicholson cheese sandwiches for 2 weeks straight. That was the only thing Jack Nicholson could eat, was cheese sandwiches, which he hates, for 2 weeks. That was the only substance he had.
Why?
It was to add that element of him being grumpy and mad and evil and all these things, and that's what came out in the film. So if you hate something and you're having to eat it for oh man, I'd be pissed. Not to mention that the film went on for, I mean, what did it take him a year to film? I mean, I don't know if it was that. I thought it was something like a year or something like that.
It's something like that.
Yeah. And then the fact that he's constantly changing them, like, if you have a script you can memorize, if he's constantly changing everything every day, that's frustrating.
Yeah.
So that would add to the whole,
oh God, I mean, I can't imagine that, like, as an actor, you're just constantly on edge.
Yeah.
You can't settle into anything. And maybe that was exactly the point.
That was the point. Well, I think Mr. What was his name? Halloran, Dick Halloran, the chef.
Yeah.
I heard that he made Kubrick made him do a one take 100 times.
Sounds like something he'd do.
What was the take?
I don't remember the take.
Oh God,
no.
That's
100, like 100 times, and so he was so like frustrated. I mean, I would be too, because
oh my God, yeah.
Look, we knew like Kubrick was super meticulous, super anal. And that's what I want to talk about too with a lot of this movie, because there's so many. We could watch this movie and go, well, there's continuity errors throughout, right? Like a chair is there, next scene it's gone, then it's back. No. He was so meticulous that there was a reason for everything Kubrick did. And I'm trying to figure out why. Was his whole point to make us feel uneasy through the entire movie?
So let me back that up a minute. You don't think it's possible?
No.
Still a human being. You don't think it's possible?
No, because it's riddled throughout the movie, and I guarantee you Kubrick, no, dude. I've watched interviews with people that worked closely with Kubrick, and they said that just doesn't happen. He is so meticulous. There is a method to his madness. Like, I watched one interview, it says, okay, there's two things. Kubrick was he was a photographer. Like, one of his hobbies was as to be a photographer. Well, you know how photographers are. They see stuff through a lens that, like, say, the normal people like us, we don't see.
Yeah.
And he was an avid chess player. Okay, well, with chess, as you're aware, it's calculated, man. You're thinking almost 50 moves ahead. Everything he did was calculated. I just don't know why. I never read the book. We know he came a ways away from the book. He detoured from that. So, like, was there elements in the book about stuff? I can't imagine that was the case.
Well, the unfortunate thing for me, anyways, I'll speak for myself. I never read the book.
I didn't either.
So that's just really horrible. I mean, it made me, after I watched it the other day, it made me think, God, I probably should.
Yeah.
Just so I have some context what the original story was,
I never read it. I just
Shealee, what were your thoughts initially? Like the first time you saw Shining?
My first thing that like really stood out to me was like the opening scene with the music.
Yeah.
I think the music played a big role in how like eerie the whole movie is. And definitely the first time I watched it, I thought it was scary. It was more like unsettling, but I was definitely scared. because like there was just a lot of like, I guess, mind games, I guess, that you could like say were playing throughout the whole thing. And it was just like so many scenes where like you'd have to like think about them, you know, and then like when you go back and watch it again, like they start making sense because like you've seen it. But like I definitely thought that it was scary the first time I watched it, and it like really quickly became my favorite horror movie. So
it's an interesting thing because, you know, you know, obviously you come from a younger generation and you guys really like your jump scares. And this is you could argue is a slow burn. I mean, it's
a slow burn.
It's a slow burn.
For sure. I mean, it takes a minute to even get going, you know, and so it's kind of a little surprising that it sunk its hooks into you so rapidly, like, you know, within basically the first scene, you know.
Well, it you know, the thing is that we have the climax, right? But majority of the movie is super slow.
Yeah.
Super tense. I would almost argue or say at least that the music is almost its own character and really it almost overshadows, let's say, Wendy, for instance.
Yeah.
I mean, Jack is Jack.
Yeah.
I mean, I just can't imagine anyone else playing Jack Torrance,
Right.
And doing, you know, having that performance. But the music almost overshadows everyone else. It's so powerful, man.
Yeah.
Like, and it's just a mixture of all these different sounds and stuff that's happening it's very fitting. But again, it comes back to the music is uneasy, unsettling, Shealee, as you said. It's it's very much that. And on top of this Overlook that has like this history, right?
Well, I'm just going to say nothing ever good comes from building anything on top of an Indian burial ground.
Yeah, no.
Period.
Poltergeist people.
It's like how many times are people going to do that thinking they're going to get a different result?
Yeah.
Yeah, not good at all. A lot of Native American references in this movie, too. I mean, obviously being built on that. And then just a lot of artwork and a lot of other stuff throughout the film. There's a lot of, it's like, you know, and again, all intentional. I'm sure there was a reason for all of this with Kubrick. You know,
well, the Native American thing, my takeaway on that was obvious tie-in to the history of the hotel and the fact that it was built on an Indian burial ground. And in fact, even in the movie, and I would imagine in the book, they talk about how during the building of this thing, it was
there was like an attack.
Yeah, Indians were like
Attacking.
attempting to. They were attacking them as they were trying to build this thing. You know, so the Native American stuff that's throughout the hotel to me is just a tie-in.
Just a tie-in. You think?
Yeah. I mean,
Because it was only brought up a few times throughout the movie.
yeah, really.
Well,
I mean,
there was, I mean, there's artwork that is throughout you see it on the walls that they really don't focus on, but then you realize it was done by like a native, you know.
Well, in other words, what I'm trying to get at is that I don't think Stanley Kubrick had some sort of hidden agenda behind the Native American stuff.
Yeah.
I think that was just a simple matter of tie-in to the history of that hotel.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Now the Apollo stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
Whole other. I absolutely do believe that
Well, I forgot. Did we do a quick synopsis on this?
we have not done a
Nope.
synopsis.
Oh, I think Shealee said she wanted to do it.
Oh, you want to do the synopsis?
I don't even remember saying that.
Oh, no,
honestly.
totally. Didn't she say that?
I'm pretty sure I heard that. So
She was begging us
Hey, why
before
don't
we
you
started
go and,
recording. You want to do a synopsis?
do a little.
What's
to
the movie
say.
about? What's the movie about, Shealee? Give us a Cliff
Yeah, just
Notes
in your
version.
own words.
Yeah, just off the top of your head, what's this movie about? Make it
Okay,
quick.
The Shining is about a family of 3, the husband and wife and a kid, moving to an isolated hotel because the husband got a job there and they have to stay there for 5 or 6 months or something. And it leads to cabin fever, as they said in the movie, and ultimately a showdown. and
Showdown.
a showdown between everyone.
Showdown.
That's funny.
Yeah, that's pretty much it, right?
Yeah. I mean, basically, the hotel is got evil in it.
Yep.
And it's making itself known.
Yes.
There's an imprint.
Oh yeah.
Because I really, I'm a believer in that. I believe in ghost stuff. I absolutely do.
Yeah.
I've had creepy, weird occurrences happen in my life.
Yep.
And I believe that, sometimes events will leave an imprint.
Yeah.
You've got your the spiritual aspect of it. You've got essentially the ghost aspect, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like a spirit that just for whatever reason can't cross over or whatever, and it's just in this earthly plane.
Yep.
But there's also just traumatic events, just things that occur, which traumatic enough with enough energy and just the right circumstances can imprint. And then, if you shine, you can pick up on those imprints, and they could be in the past, they could be in the future, they could be,
Yeah.
And interesting thing, I had watched a video on this, and the person was saying, and I think it might have even been in the book, that Tony, which is Danny's invisible imaginary friend, who's telling him these things, is actually Danny from the future.
Oh.
I could understand that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think he said that was actually the premise in the book.
Oh.
Was that it was Danny from the future that was telling his younger self about the Overlook.
Interesting. Yeah.
I feel like that makes sense because throughout the movie, whenever like Danny was asked anything about Tony, he was like, "Oh, Tony always told me I can't say anything, I can't tell anyone."
Yeah.
And so like I could understand the connection because like, you wouldn't want to tell people like something that happens in the future because it'd like mess everything up.
Right, the whole timeline thing.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, the whole butterfly effect or
the
whatever.
butterfly effect. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so that really prompted me to actually want to spend the time to read the book because I really am intrigued by that. I want to understand. Well, okay, Stephen King obviously is the one who wrote the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to understand what was Stephen King's intent there. Like, what was he trying to, And then obviously we know, Kubrick kind of took the ball and
he took a lot of liberties.
He did.
Yeah.
He did. He took a lot of liberties. And I didn't read the book, so I don't know. And maybe those liberties made the movie what it was. The thing is, I do know, I've talked with people that regularly read Stephen King, and sometimes his stuff is a little out there. Like, for instance, like someone was telling me in the actual book, there's a lot of weird stuff going on with the teenagers. And someone was explaining this to me. I'm like, okay, there's no way they could put that in the film. It just couldn't happen. It wouldn't work at all.
Yeah.
And so I don't know.
Yep. Eventually I'll get there. I don't know. I got so many projects that I'm going on. Maybe I can add reading a book to it.
Yeah, well, once you do, let me know because I won't read it.
You won't read it?
The only thing I would say, I think my friend Laura was saying that, you can listen to it on like tape or something, or like a tape. I'm dating myself. CD or digital.
Yeah.
You can listen to the actual book.
They have it. Basically, it's audio.
I could do that.
It's an audio book.
That would do because I don't want
Really?
to read it. Yeah, you can't.
You guys like audiobooks?
Well, I don't.
Well, I'm not saying I do.
I'm just
that's
saying,
a him thing.
No,
Yeah.
my friend was listening to the audiobook, but The Shining, she doesn't like horror, and The Shining scared her so much that she stopped listening to it because it was
Can't do
freaking her out.
audiobooks.
I could probably do it because I don't like reading. I just don't like doing it.
But there's a bunch of weird stuff. Well, let me back up. Certainly, the movie itself's got a bunch of weird stuff.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I shouldn't really preface it by saying that. In the book, there were elements in the book that I think just at the time when Kubrick filmed this couldn't quite capture. I don't think the technology was quite there to capture it correctly.
Okay, yeah.
But like the hedge maze apparently in the book has these animals. These hedge animals.
Oh, okay.
That actually came to life and like
I think I heard that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. I don't think I like that.
See, I'm not sure I would like that either. I'm
Yeah.
glad that was taken out
Me
because that
too.
just seems hokey and corny.
See, now
Yeah.
I wonder, because they did a mini series of this, and I don't remember when. I want to say maybe in the 90s. Let's say maybe mid to late 90s. There was a mini series done of this. And I never watched it. I wonder if it was more true to Stephen King's novel.
Yeah.
And maybe I wonder if that stuff is in there.
Yeah, perhaps.
You know, especially with the miniseries. I mean, those can go for 6 to 8 hours. So
Yeah.
you can get a lot more in than 2.5 hours, you know.
Yeah.
So I want to bring something up. And this is why I want to know if you guys even noticed this. And this is part of, I guess, Kubrick's madness, you know. Towards the beginning of the movie, there's a scene where Danny is brushing his teeth. And on his door, there's all these stickers. Okay. And one of the stickers is Dopey from Snow White. Okay. Something that, it's like whatever. He's a kid. He would have a sticker like this. So then he starts to brush his teeth, and then he starts talking to Tony. And then he has those visions.
Right.
Then the doctor comes. Well, if you look on the door, the Dopey sticker is gone. It's gone. And again, man, I'm telling you, if a sticker's there and then it's gone, there's a reason for it. And my only interpretation on this, and I don't know if you guys even noticed this.
I didn't.
Neither did I.
So I thought about this. Well, you know, Dopey being kind of, well, obviously, you know, being part of the you know, Snow White and Seven Dwarfs was kind of, well, Dopey, right? So you know, Dopey kind of naive, kind of maybe ignorant, you know.
Okay.
And my idea was, okay, at the time before Danny knew about the Overlook and these images, he was young, naive, right? Then when Tony showed him this, his eyes were opened, and that's maybe why Dopey, the sticker, was gone. He's now, again, I don't know if that's true. It's just an interpretation.
I'd have to. I got to
yeah.
give that one some thought. My knee jerk reaction to that is, I don't really interpret. I don't like. To me, Dopey, that character isn't. He's dumb. He's not really naive. I don't know.
I don't know. Again, man, I'm just throwing something out. I don't know if whether it sticks or not. Who knows?
Well,
but again, I mean,
you guys are talking. I'm gonna hit the Googs. I'm gonna see what the
You're gonna hit
Googles
the
does.
Google?
Yeah.
But anyways, let's talk the movie here. So Jack interviews for the caretaker's position. His idea, they were from Vermont. He was a teacher. I don't think they really explain what happened to him. I'm going to assume he was a drinker. Maybe something happened and he got fired and they had to maybe relocate to Colorado.
Maybe.
I mean,
they don't
I
really
never
hit
really-
too much in
Yeah.
that.
they don't.
They
But
never really
again,
explain.
you're trying, they're giving us little bits and pieces. And so we kind of, I don't know, we're trying to fill in that gap. Again, this is just a guess. I don't know.
It also could have been maybe like he wasn't getting paid enough because there was a big thing he was talking about. Like I think near middle to end of the movie, he was talking to Wendy about, you know, she wants to leave, and he was like, "You're not gonna mess up this one chance I have.
yeah.
Do you want me to be like a shovel in the snow and stuff?" Or
But see,
stuff
the
like
thing
that.
is, so this is the thing, Shealee, though. Let's say in Vermont he was a teacher, right? But he moves to Colorado and he isn't working. Well, why is that?
Yeah.
There's always a need for teachers.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking something happened and he got fired.
Maybe, because we definitely know that he was a drinker. He
Yeah.
injured Danny.
He did. Dislocated his shoulder or
Yeah.
something when so I don't know. I know he wants to write. Like his aspirations is he calls himself a writer.
Yeah,
So
not a
he's
very good one.
Not a good one because
Not really.
he only seems to type the same thing over and over.
He just a little bit, you know.
But he interviews. He gets the position, but they explain to him, look, you know, we just want to throw this, you know, kind of full disclosure here. You know, there was a family here, however many, because I thought they said 1970, but I don't remember. Maybe I'm
They
wrong.
said 1970.
70. So 10 years earlier, where the guy went a little crazy, the caretaker at the time went a little crazy, and he chopped up his family.
Yeah.
And then he committed suicide. And he wanted to, I think it was Mr. Was it Mr. Ullman? I think it was Mr. Ullman, who's like the general manager of the hotel.
Yeah.
Him and I think it was Mr. Watson. I don't know. Maybe it's his assistant or something.
Yeah.
But wants to kind of full disclosures. We want to tell you, this happened, so that you're aware of it, and because there's a such thing as again cabin fever, stuff like that. These walls start to close in on you, and especially during the winter where you can't go anywhere. There's nowhere to go.
Yeah.
The roads are closed. And it's your job as the caretaker to take care of this place. So you can't just like leave unless I'm going to go and grab a bite to eat down the road. It doesn't happen, And so, they explain this to him. So we know all of a sudden something's not right with the hotel a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so he scoops up the family. Now, again, small little stupid detail, but how the hell did they get all that furniture into that little beetle? Dude, it looked like it was something that had come out of a friggin' small van.
I know. There like friggin' 10 giant there was suitcases
his big wheel, and there was all kinds of. I'm like, there's no way in hell that fit in the beetle.
No,
but whatever. No. And then why is he? Okay, why is when he's sitting on the chair? And I think that Mr. Ullman and Mr. Watson are getting ready to maybe meet with him and chat with him. He's reading a Playgirl magazine. I still don't understand this. I'm trying again. These are all these things that are on purpose, and I'm trying to. First of all, a Playboy or Playgirl is never going to be in a hotel lobby. It just ain't happening.
He brought it with him. I don't know.
No, I don't know, because he set it down on like it was something like you go to a doctor's office and you're reading Sports Illustrated. That's what it seemed like. Again, always calculated. I don't know what it meant.
Well, you could also tie in like, at least with the Playgirl, the scene where he goes into room 237 and then that random lady's in there and she's naked and then he's like, ooh la la.
Yeah.
So like, I guess you can tie that maybe.
Well, and
connections.
No, because okay, so what?
Well, there's also another that I was going to bring up later, but since we're talking about
let's
it,
bring it up. We can do whatever. Yeah.
Oh, I am.
Well, then do it already.
We'll stop interrupting me, and maybe I will.
I'm messing with you.
So, also there was the scene when Halloran is in his room.
Yeah.
And there is the two pictures.
Two pictures.
Yeah, like one of them is like
out.
this ginormous afro on this woman, and she's like full on naked. You know?
Full on naked.
And then when I first saw that, I'm like, okay, well, he's got, but then there's like another
there's one behind him.
nude shot, right on the wall, like right above
behind
his
his
head.
bed.
Yeah. So then it becomes, well, now that's clearly a thing.
Yeah.
With him, anyways. You know what I mean? So it could be that. Well, see, when it comes to the scene with the woman in the 237, no, I think that's just the hotel. I think that was again, along with the weird scene, with where the guy with the pig face, was
the bear,
the bear,
Yeah.
the bear face,
the bear
and
face,
the guy on the bed,
guy on the bed. Okay, I think that what those are just imprints in the past from guests that were in there. And
let me ask you this, Darren and Shealee, chime in. Do you think these are people that died in the hotel?
I do.
Yeah.
I think
and they're still stuck in there.
Well, what I had read, again, this is I guess part of the book, was that the woman that was in 237 that killed herself because her her husband or something had oh God, I'm gonna butcher this. Something about her husband had slept with somebody in that hotel.
Oh, okay.
Or something like that.
While they were vacationing.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And so then she killed herself in there.
Okay.
So that to me is what those scenes are. Those are just imprints, of guests that killed themselves.
Same with the twins or the
exactly
girls.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, but the Playgirl magazine, and maybe in this Halloran with these two.
So there's another scene. I just caught it last night because when I was rewatching this, I've seen the movie so many times. I wanted to look for stuff that maybe just in the background that I hadn't seen before. And there's a scene where Wendy is in the boiler room, and there's pictures all over the boiler room of naked women in bondage and stuff.
Okay.
Now,
There's another one.
Oh, I
you
see
just
what
you
you're
just
talking
you
about.
just reminded me. There's a whole another one where the I think it's like a gas station, or it's either that or it's like an auto shop or whatever.
Yes. Yeah.
There is a calendar on the wall, and there is a customer in there staring at the calendar, and it's of like a naked woman. So I
don't know the relevance to it other than
could just be.
And that's the thing, man. There's so many things in this movie that I wish Stanley Kubrick was sitting in front of us. Of course, he would be a corpse, but and just pick his brain on what were you thinking, man? Was his whole intent was to make us feel uncomfortable and uneasy throughout the whole movie? That we're here now talking about it 42 years later. Is it 42 years? 42 years later, and we still don't have an explanation on certain things.
But there's all sorts of wacky stuff that he threw in all through Clockwork Orange, man.
Yeah.
And I mean, that just, I don't hyper focus too much on that. To me, that's just a throwing continuity around the movie is what that is to me.
That's probably part of like making the audience unsettled. If you notice that, like you're
correct.
probably like, what
don't
the
think
heck? Like, why are there just random naked ladies and stuff?
Well, too, it's like a scene where he's talking with Wendy and there's a chair there. 2 seconds later, the chair's gone. 2 seconds later, the chair's back. It's those things where there wasn't a light switch and now there is a light switch. There's an overhead light that wasn't at the beginning of the movie in the same exact spot. Now there's a light. I don't know. I mean, was it?
I mean, you can also say like, it could tie into like maybe like little like hallucinations, you can call them, that Jack's having, because like throughout the movie he like sees things, like he's talking to this Lloyd person and all this booze is in the cabinets, and then she comes in and then there's nothing. So it could just be like little hallucinations and things that like he's having, like maybe things in the past that were once there and now they're not.
It could be like, to tie into that, it could be snapshots of time periods where there's a chair and now there's not a chair. Maybe there wasn't a chair, and maybe the hotel is providing these imprints and these visions of periods of time.
And it's absolutely there's actually a theory that Wendy is hallucinating everything that's happening. So none of this is happening. She's hallucinating everything, and so when she's hallucinating it, or when you're trying to remember something, you don't remember every single detail.
Yeah.
So you leave details out. So when I'm trying to remember it, well, that table was originally there, but now it's off. It's gone because I can't remember it there.
Yeah.
It's the detail that I've left out. Yeah. Now, I don't know if I buy the whole Wendy theory that she's,
I'm not sure
I don't think I buy that.
Yeah.
But the idea of, it just being an imprint and maybe that particular imprint, there was no table. And then now, so stuff like that. It's trying to,
right.
Again, we could theorize this all day long and we could all be way wrong, but it's just,
Yeah, I just, I don't know. When it comes to these sort of things, like the naked women that are, or the playgirl, for me, I don't focus too much on that. To me, that stuff's thrown around for continuity of, flavor, vibe.
Yeah.
Like whether the intent is to make the audience feel unsettled, I mean, when did this movie come out? 1980. So in 1980, maybe an audience would be a little bit more unsettled, with seeing African American naked woman on a wall with a giant you know what I'm saying?
Who knows?
Maybe some people would have a problem or feel unsettled with seeing a man reading or looking at a Playgirl magazine. It was out in 1980 after all.
Or even implying that he physically harmed Danny was kind of taboo in that time.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
And so all of this stuff is intended to make you feel unsettled. And the entire vibe of this movie gives you a very unsettled feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that everything is intended to make you feel unsettled, as much as given Jack Nicholson cheese sandwiches for, you know what I mean,
Yeah.
to make him
Yeah.
feel unsettled, and
Sure.
and riding, you know, Shealee Duvall, you know, to the point of a breakdown. You know
which
what I
I
mean?
think she just about had in
Pretty
the movie.
much.
Yeah.
All of that is intended to give an overall vibe of just this unsettled, weighty, heavy feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. No, for sure. I mean, for sure. Do we want to just kind of jump around a little bit? We know that Mr. Halloran shines as well, so
yeah.
he's able
Yeah.
to communicate with Danny.
Yep.
That comes into play later on, and he explains to him what shining is and stuff, and I think Danny kind of understands the concept, but I mean, a month later, I mean, you start to get this, I think it starts to catch up to not Wendy's embracing this as best she can, right?
Yeah, I feel like it was more prevalent in Jack, definitely, like he starts slowly like losing it. Yeah. But I also feel like Danny too, because like
yes.
farther in the movie we start seeing like he's not talking as much, he's not playing as much, and like Tony's more prevalent and
because
stuff.
Tony takes over.
Yeah, Tony takes over.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I feel like it really ties and like plays in like these people are like slowly like losing it, and I feel like Wendy is also, but like she's trying so hard to
She's trying to keep the family.
hold on to it.
She really
and to
is.
keep everything together.
She always seems so positive. It's like when he can't seem to, when he has writer's block.
God, he acted like such a dick.
Dude, he was an asshole.
my
it was
God,
uncomfortable
man.
watching
It
that
was.
scene.
Yeah.
It was.
I mean, it's so messed up.
Why
She
don't
was
you
just
start now by getting the fuck out of
Yeah.
here?
Yeah.
I was just like, oh my God,
just
dude.
a dick.
Yeah.
Like she was just checking in on you and just
Yeah.
doing what
Yeah.
a partner would do.
Yeah.
Maybe she should get the fuck out of there when, before she gives you your damn bacon and eggs, you dick.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Totally taking care of him, man. And but we see him slowly unravel
Yeah.
the what as I like to call the Kubrick stare, because it was also in Full Metal Jacket when you know the stare I'm talking about.
I do.
Damn. I mean, that is unsettling.
Yeah, definitely. And then
So-
like just like the shot, it's like that whole segment where it says like it has like the day that it is, and then it goes
Yeah.
to them, they're playing outside and he's just inside and he's doing that like violent stare, and then it just cuts to like the next day.
Well, it's funny because he did a thing like that too on Clockwork Orange.
Who did? Oh, and Stanley Kubrick did. Yeah.
With the
Kubrick stare.
old man whose wife was raped by them, remember?
yes,
and then
I
like
do.
and he comes back and he's got that like look on it, Yeah,
It's a thing Kubrick does.
He
Yeah.
does that stuff.
Yeah, no, Clockwork Orange, watching that felt like a fever dream.
That's kind of what it's
Yeah.
like.
It is.
very much
That is an out there movie. Full Metal Jacket is not like that. There's elements of Kubrick, obviously, because Kubrick you wrote and directed it, but it's not as out there and say kind of weird and
Eyes Wide
it's-
Shut is also.
You know what's funny, man? I never watched that.
You never saw
movie.
that?
I never did.
Check it out.
Yeah,
Yeah, you
it's
should.
worth a worth a
dude,
watch.
If for any other reason than
Just
it's
the
a
fact that Kubrick
film,
did it, his
dude.
last film. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just didn't hear good things about it. I know it was Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman and a lot of weird sexual stuff happening.
There
I guess.
is, but it resonated a lot, I think, with male audiences for some reason. Not for any kind of weird sexual thing, but I think more just. I don't know. It was like something that I got. I mean, I got the film. I understood exactly
you did?
what.
Okay, maybe I'll give it a shot.
I understood exactly the main character. Tom Cruise's character. I understood his motivation. I understood the whole.
Okay,
I just got it.
You got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. It's worth a watch. I'll check it out. I don't mind checking it out. I mean, just to see his last film.
For sure,
Kubrick's
man.
Film,
Yeah.
You have to for that reason.
Just for that alone. I seen like bits and pieces of it, and I just kind of moved on.
Yeah.
So I mean, we're not going to go scene by scene. How about Danny in his big wheel?
Okay, let me tell you something with that. That brought me back to my childhood. My grandmother, she lived in this kind of like, I don't even want to call it an apartment. They were apartments, but not like what you think. And right across the street was this shopping. It was like a grocery store, and then all these little shops, and in this complex.
Yeah.
And in this complex were all of these walkways that had, like, I gotta say, like, polished cement.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm totally visioning
Okay.
that. Yeah.
But yet it was like covered, but yet open outside. Okay. And then all these walkways, there was all over. It's like a maze of them, dude.
Yeah.
And they all connected all these little shops, you know. And I used to have my big wheel, and I used to go over there with a friend of mine who lived down the street, and we would cruise through those halls, you know, with the slippery cement, and we would do exactly what he was doing. Did you notice, like when he were down to the corner once, he like fishtailed?
Oh yeah,
you know?
fishtailed it. Yeah.
Yeah, I would like do that, like, you know, just cruising through, and I had a blast doing that. So every time I watch those scenes of him like cruising, you know, around, I'm like, hell yeah,
Yeah. Oh, dude, absolutely.
I would be having a blast, except for when I saw,
Well,
when I
twins,
round in
you
a
know.
corner and see two twin girls.
So I had heard that. So all those rugs that you see on the floor, that was intentional by Kubrick.
to give it that.
Yes.
Yeah, I really like that. That was a really
Unnerving.
cool like
It's
sound that they
unnerving.
did.
It is.
And it
is.
just adds like this other depth to the, you know.
It's like the audio. It's now you're adding audio tension
Yeah.
into already the visual tension.
Well, and following him as he's riding through all the corridors of this. And I don't know if it was one shot, but oh my God, it felt like just one long shot. And it's building up, and you're like, well, we know something's coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he comes around the corner, and there's the damn. So this is what I want your guys' take on this. At the beginning of the movie, when Mr. Ullman says he chopped up his two girls, they were 8 and 10.
Yeah.
Well, these are twin girls.
Yeah.
So
I think the details. I think that's what that was that Ullman guy just didn't have the full detail.
Yeah, probably not.
Okay.
Like it happened so darn long ago,
Yeah.
and you know,
He
it's like
just-
one person tells another.
is that what you got
Yeah.
from
Yeah,
it? Okay.
yeah.
Because I mean, they're clearly twins.
No, they are.
I mean, they were cast as twins.
Yeah.
I mean, so they're
For sure.
twins. And oh my God.
That
yeah.
was my interpretation of that. Was just he was telling the story via hearsay,
Okay.
Yeah.
I get you.
and then
So it's
over the
possibly
years.
Mr. Ullman wasn't even there at the time. He
Yeah.
took over
Oh,
5
then
years.
for sure
Yeah,
he
yeah.
wasn't there at the time. Dude.
Yeah.
For sure.
Because I mean, this hotel had been there for what, the 1800s? I think
It
he
was
said?
1907.
1907.
Yeah.
Okay, my
1907
apologies.
is
So
when
It was right
they-
during the like the flapper days, you know, like you know the roaring 20s.
because it said
right
they
in that decade.
so it's like they started, and because it took them like 2 years to build this thing.
I think it was at
A
least
lot of
2 years.
history, because they said like
They
3
started
or
in
4
03, and I think it opened in
Oh, I thought they said something like 06 to 08, but I could be way off. But I mean, a lot of presidents and movie stars had stayed
Oh, yeah.
there, so this is the place to go
for sure.
Yeah.
And then the fact that during the winter it's not cost effective.
Well, it's so secluded.
So secluded. There's, you would think, oh man, you could do some skiing and stuff, but it's just like, no, it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So then it's like, then I was thinking about this. Okay, so for this particular time frame, we know Jack Torrance is the caretaker, but do they have a caretaker every year? Like, who takes care of it during the winter? Like, each year, this has to happen. So from October to May, who are you getting to do this? And does it not have the same effect on each caretaker? So
See,
that's what I'm puzzled by. Like, because
I have a whole and I was hoping we'd bring this up because I feel like, and especially I think it's implied that Jack is at least maybe reincarnated, because I don't know, during the part where he goes to the ball and the guy spills the drinks and then they go to the bathroom to clean it up, and then he's like, oh, you're Grady? You
It
killed,
wasn't.
Yeah,
it wasn't the same Grady.
Not the same Grady.
No, that was his name was Delbert.
yeah.
and the actual
Charles,
guy was his.
or vice versa. I can't remember.
No,
was it
the-
Charles Grady and Delbert?
No, so Delbert was the guy that he went into the bathroom with.
yeah.
The Charles Grady was the caretaker that chopped up his family.
Oh, I thought it was vice versa, but whatever. I mean,
No.
yeah.
And so what that is it's just it's not reincarnate. Even Jack, it's not reincarnations. It's just another. The family lineage. So the caretaker that was that looked like Jack wasn't Jack. That wasn't a reincarnation. It was just 20, 30, 40 years later, down the family line, you're bound to have another person born who looks like
So
that happens.
So not to jump ahead, but do you think is that your description of the picture at the end?
Yeah.
See, I didn't see it that way.
I didn't either.
I didn't see it that way, but it doesn't mean that I like that explanation, Darren. See, I'll tell you what my theory was that I kind of thought of the lines of what Shealee said as to being reincarnated was Jack Torrance's destiny to always be the caretaker.
That was kind of my thought process
right.
about the movie.
Right.
But
let me flesh this a little bit out where I'm going here because it does tie into that. Couldn't you? I mean, there's an argument to be made that someone who, let's say, somebody who was alive in 1920s, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
They look a certain way, right?
Sure.
Okay. 20, 30, however many
60
years later,
years.
right? I'm not talking about this movie. I'm just saying in general right now. Okay.
Sure.
20, 30, whatever years later, family line, right?
Yeah.
Somebody born in that family looks like surprisingly like a relative, 2-3 decades earlier. Sometimes that happens. And couldn't that be explained as some sort of reincarnation, some sort of reincarnation of the family member before?
So then you believe, okay, so let's just try to weed this out here. Okay, so 1921 is where that picture is.
Yeah.
Film is it came out in 1980, but let's just call it 79, 80. So we're talking 60 years.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that the 1921 is a relative of Jack Torrance?
Yeah, I was going to ask, do you think that they're related?
And then
exactly-
again, it was inevitable.
Yes.
It was his destiny to be the caretaker.
That is
so,
exactly
So I'll
what
tell
I
you what
think.
my theory is, and you guys can poke holes in it. And now that Darren's talking about this, I don't know if I like my theory as well, but I'm going to at least mention it.
Yeah.
And I came up with this a couple of days ago because I was trying to figure out that picture because, it's like it's 60 years in between, and it's literally him.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that Jack Torrance does not look like the picture we are seeing in 1921.
Right.
What I believe is he looks completely different, and Wendy and Danny see him a certain way. Once he came to the Overlook, he took on a different perception that we as the audience is seeing. We are seeing him in that 1921 picture, but Wendy and Danny don't see him that way. We see him that way because as soon as he came into the hotel consumed him. Consumed his, and that's again a theory, dude, and I could be so wrong. That was just my kind of an idea I had.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Look, because obviously we can't have an interview with Kubrick on this to get any sort of definitive. That very well could be. That wasn't ever really my interpretation of that. To me, it was they look different enough, and that's because it's not the Jack. He is not the Jack in that photo. That is a distant relative, and what it is that his family is destined to be the caretaker of that. Yeah.
Then wasn't Grady the caretaker?
Same thing. The Delbert Grady that was in the bathroom is not the same
as
Grady
Charles,
as the Charles. Yeah.
But that Grady, the Delbert Grady dude, he was very much influencing Jack.
Oh, for sure.
Oh,
For
absolutely.
sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely he was.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, he was definitely planning that. You got to do something about both of them.
Yeah.
And he
Wendy
said something like, I feel like, I don't know, because I feel like he implied, because
what does he say?
he
you've
said
always
like
been
you've
always been the
Yeah.
you've always been the caretaker. Just he goes, I should know because I've always been here.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he
because
starts
his family
explaining.
his family also has always been there.
Hey,
He
man.
starts explaining, like, my two twins or my two daughters or whatever, one of them,
yeah.
they didn't like it here, so I had to
Yeah.
correct them.
Correct
and then
them,
my
my
wife tried to
girls.
step in, and then I had to correct her too.
Yeah, yeah.
And then, Wendy knocks him out with the bat during that scene. That was a really, really terrifying scene. But she drags him to the freezer, and then, he unlocks the door and is like,
Yeah.
you have to correct them even
Which was
harder
really,
now.
I got to be honest with you, was probably the one scene in the movie where we're not talking where it's not nebulous. It was the one real scene where the hotel affected a physical thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
By letting him out.
I
Yeah.
completely, Darren, 100% agree.
Yeah.
It's the one thing in the movie that bothered me a bit. So you're saying these ghosts can now unlock the door for you, and I just didn't like it. I wasn't sold on it.
I agree. I that is one thing I'm not a fan of.
Yeah.
I just overlook it because I'm just like, okay, right?
Yeah. I mean, I guess out of the 2.5 hours of this film, which is a brilliant film, if that's the one thing you're like, okay, I give it a pass.
Yeah.
It'd be one thing if they just, and I don't need a lot of it. I just need one, maybe two additional scenes where the entities, spirits, the imprints, the whatever of the hotel manifests a physical thing.
Yeah.
Then it's a tie-in.
Okay.
Then I can get behind it and go, okay, but if that is the only isolated thing that the hotel physically manifests, them letting him out of the...
Let me ask you this then. Do you think Danny got hurt by the woman in 237, or was it Jack that hurt him? Because then if it was the woman in 237, well, there you go.
I don't think it was. I think that was Jack.
You think it was Jack?
I do.
Because, but
I'm
wasn't...
torn.
But see, that's
You're
the thing.
torn?
I'm torn as well, Darren, because Jack was sleeping when Danny got hurt.
And
was
we
that
can
we
also-
that we saw.
But also, I'm torn because that whole scene when he comes in and then she's like trying to calm Jack down, and then
Yeah.
she's like, "You gotta go play in your room," and then
Yeah.
she's like, "I'm gonna go deal with him," and
That
then
is true, and
she sees, and then she's calling him out. She's like,
And he has a definitely look on his face.
He
and
was
clearly
like,
is
"What are you talking about? Like,
Yeah.
I didn't do anything." So that's why I'm torn.
Yeah, but it could be explained that he's coming in and out of his faculties.
True.
You could explain it that way.
True.
Sure. I mean, too, and do you think, okay, we know he's a recovering alcoholic. Do you think he found alcohol in the hotel and he's been drinking and maybe he blacks out at times?
Well, I don't think that he could have done that, because that was a specific thing that, like, what's his name?
Ullman.
Ullman talked
yeah,
about, is
said
that
that
they confiscate all the alcohol.
But Jack could have snuck it in with the 8 million bags that they had.
It could
I
have.
don't think it's possible, though, because when he first moved in, I feel like Jack was in a good state of mind. I feel like he was not under the impression, like, I'm going to take some alcohol with me.
Yeah, I agree with that. No, I really do. I really think that he was in and out of lucidity.
Yeah.
He was in and out of those states. I mean, there were times where, to me, it's
So
very easy.
you think he did it?
I do.
Shealee, you and I are still on the fence.
I'm torn.
I'm still on the fence, man. Like, was it? Because if it was the woman in 237, then there's that other part that they can physically do stuff.
I also want to talk about the significance of room 237, because we don't ever really get a good background on what happened in that room, but that room is talked about so much throughout that movie.
That was the room where the woman killed herself.
I know, but I'm saying I feel like the most important aspect of the violent stuff that happened was the guy chopping his family apart, but that whole, that opening scene where, what's his name? Halloran and,
Halloran?
yeah. And Danny are talking, and then he's like, "Oh, what's room 237?" And he's like, "Don't you ever go in there. You have no business in there," and stuff. And that he passes the room, and then he tries to go in, and then he's freaked out, and then the doors open all of a sudden, and then it's just all of this build up for that room, and then it just leads to that one scene where that old lady's in there, and then like we never really get anything else out of room 237. It was like that was another little like mini climax for that, and I don't understand it. I don't know, maybe I just need to think on it more, but like that was a big thing that was part of that first half of that movie is room 237, and then we never went back to it.
I get what she wanted more depth or exposition as to 237, but I think again it goes back to what your dad said. There's just little remnants and imprints, and that's what we got, because we can't go through, let's say that was 1980 and it was built in, let's just call it 1910. That's 70 years of history. So we obviously can't get 70. We just getting little bits and weird pieces of imprints.
So I think this is a situation where Kubrick, whatever, is saying, okay, audience, it's okay for you guys to use your imagination and understand that probably all sorts of fucked up shit happened in that hotel. Yeah. But here's what I'm showing you were things that occurred.
Yeah.
But many, many more things occurred in there. And I'm good with that. I'm okay to see the one thing in room 237, and then also to see the different stuff where there's like the twin. I'm okay to see all those little tiny pieces, because the
twins made more sense to me.
The twins absolutely make more sense. The thing with the bear and the other, again, I think it's just again for us to be uneasy.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be weird. And so there probably really is no explanation as to that bear and the guy in the bed. It's just a imprint.
They're just imprints.
But let me ask you this. How do you interpret Jack going in? It's a beautiful young woman, nude, and then he starts making out with her, and
it was the hotel seducing him.
Yeah.
It was the process of the hotel breaking him, like in Hereditary. You got to break the spirit down in order to, and that to me is what that hotel was doing with that.
Yeah, that's another really good
I just
idea.
thought maybe we're focused. I focused more on she's young and now she's old and just gross, and it could be just simply how you explained it. I thought maybe it could have been two things that happened in the room. Separate.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah, makes sense. I mean, you have to. I mean, obviously, if he was destined to be there, it was just a matter of time before they were going to break him. It was just going to happen.
Yeah, for sure.
And
for sure.
The Grady cleaning his shirt pushed it along a little bit.
Yeah.
That was kind of my theory, though. I don't know, man. I mean, we can interpret so many things in this movie. Everyone's going to look at this differently. And notice stuff differently, and But what other stuff haven't we chatted about? We talked a little bit about the twins, the vision that we didn't talk about the vision of the twins in the hallway.
Well, we didn't talk about this though either. Oh man, it's so creepy.
The red rum or murder backwards, I guess.
Right, murder backwards. Yeah.
Murder backwards.
Yeah. I think that was a well thought out scene. Honestly, I really enjoyed that scene. I think the build up for that scene was really good with like the amount of times he said it. I know you have some different opinions.
I did. I thought it went on too long.
The red rum?
I did. I felt like Kubrick went 30 seconds, a minute too long with it.
I feel it was appropriate because at that point we knew Jack was out. We knew he was out and about, roaming through the hotel. We know Danny's now gone. Like the mental state of like Danny is done. Tony's taken over.
Yeah.
And so we see, Wendy's finally sleeping, and then he's still in that like Tony state, I guess.
Yeah.
And I feel like it was really well thought out because that whole thing led up. Like the second Wendy woke up and then looked at the mirror after she, is like, hey, Danny, what's going on? And then she sees the murder.
Yeah.
We all of a sudden now Jack's out chopping the door down. So I feel like it was a good build-up, He's like, red rum, and then he starts writing it on the door, and then it gets more intense and it's more build-up. I think it shows how close Jack is getting to them and how close they are to murder.
Is that what you took from that?
That's what I took from
see.
it.
Okay.
So, and also, I think this was in the book. He was that being that Tony is the older version of Danny. Kind of trying to help him out.
Yeah.
Because when he's saying the red rum, he grabs the knife.
Yeah.
He brings it over. You're thinking in the moment, oh God,
Gonna kill his mom.
Exactly. Because you don't know. He's just in a red, you know.
Yeah.
And you think that, but that's actually not the case.
Because she took the knife from him.
Yeah. Well, he basically gave it to her.
Yeah.
He came over and gave it to her. And when he started to say red rum louder, she wakes up and she's like, what the hell? And then, it was him. Again, he did this all intentionally.
Yeah.
He wrote it backwards on the door because it then went over to wake his mom up, and his mom would wake up and would look right in the mirror to see it, right? And it was like a murder's afoot because right then Jack is going to
that's pretty much how I interpret it.
And he gave her the knife to protect her.
I agree with all of that, and I'm on board with all that. I'm nitpicking. And I don't like to. It's just I felt it drug on way too much for me.
I thought it was good.
For me, it was just me personally. It was just a little too long. What I will tell you that gets me every damn time is when the octave goes up on that last couple red rums, where it almost sounds like a completely different person.
Oh yeah,
that's the shit that scares the hell out of me.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah,
Yeah,
I hear you.
Jack is he's full on nuts at this point, and he's gonna.
He's done.
He's gonna exterminate.
Now he
the
is.
Two,
He has gone to the dark side. He's full on.
But let's not forget. Okay, so Mr. Halloran, who lives, I believe, in Miami,
he went.
He's visioning something bad happening because they can't get a hold of anyone there. So he flies from Miami to Colorado and has to.
Also, he shines.
Yeah, he shines.
In his room, and Danny is also having that. And so I don't remember what the
vision.
They're seeing the same thing, and I think it was the elevator with all the blood.
Oh my God!
I think that was the scene where they were both shining, and then he was like, "Oh,
what
I
a
better go."
Look, I will say this because I just watched this again last night. There are a lot of movies along the way that try to do an effect and they just fell miserably. Holy shit, did this not only did it not look, it looked like blood.
Yeah.
It was so convincing that was blood. The fact that it going in and out through hitting the furniture and how awesome of a scene that is.
It's a really good scene.
And it's so iconic. And I read that it took 3 shots, but each time they set it up, it took 9 days to set up.
Yeah.
The first 2 shots, because Kubrick being Kubrick, didn't feel like it looked like blood. Dude, it seriously looked like blood to me, man. And so, anyways, just a fun, I just love the scene. But Jack takes an axe. He breaks through the several doors, right? Because they're in the bathroom. So he breaks through the one door, gets through in the meantime, Wendy is pushing Danny out the window to get him out of here.
Yeah.
Out of harm's way, and she can't get out because the window won't go up anymore.
Yeah.
So he gets through the second door and cuts him on the hand.
Yep.
But then they hear Halloran has come in that what's that vehicle called? I don't know.
The
Snow plow thingy. I don't know.
Snow
what the
dog,
hell
something
it is.
like that.
Some kind of track.
Yeah.
So the
Snowcat.
Snowcat or something
that's
like
what it
that.
was.
Yeah. So that kind of takes that kind of grabs Jack's attention. So now he leaves Wendy to go tend to Halloran.
Right.
And then, and Halloran gets the damn axe into the chest.
Yeah, it was horrible.
And that also, I love the connection between Halloran and Danny, because when that happens, Danny's hiding in that little kitchen cabinet thing.
Oh, yeah.
And then he gets, axe to the chest, and then Danny screams like this blood curdling scream, and then that causes Jack to jolt up, and he's like, oh, there's Danny, because he was looking for Danny.
Right.
And I really, really liked that connection and how they made that work and how Jack was able to find it, because then that led up to the maze chase scene, which I love that scene so much. That's one of my favorite scenes in this movie.
When Danny just honestly, he just ultimately outsmarts him, right?
Yeah.
Basically.
I mean, that's what he does, you know, and Jack's chasing him through the thing is, Danny has been, how many times would you say Danny's been in this maze that, you know, we saw at least once or twice with Wendy?
Yeah.
They've been there for months.
Yeah,
you
exactly.
know, so he probably knows this maze. Now, granted, it's at night and there's snow, but he knows the ins and outs of this maze.
Really quick, what I thought was a really awesome scene earlier on.
The maze where he's looking.
When Jack is looking down, it was almost like I don't know,
puppeteer kind of.
Yeah, like it had this vibe of like
he's controlling them.
Yes.
Yeah, I really like
much.
that scene when they overhead shot and then you just see little people
Yeah, absolutely.
in the little maze that they had.
No,
I really like that part.
That's a killer
It's good
scene.
cinematography.
like he was like some puppet master, like
Yeah.
controlling this. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, nowadays a scene like that, they just CGI it, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That is a practical effect. They filmed a part of a maze, and then they paint the other part over the top of it. So and then it's so like it seamlessly looks, and it looks phenomenal. Yep. It looks like they're freaking walking on this. Yeah. They did that in The Thing. Yeah. There's a
in the moon landing.
in the moon landing. We haven't even talked about that theory. But in The Thing, the UFO, that was actually painted, and it looks so damn. Yeah, let's go. The moon thing, the Apollo 11, and the whole theory.
Listen, I personally, I don't want to get too down the weeds into crazy tinfoil hat theories or whatever, but like there is a theory that, and look at it, it does make you raise your eyebrows a little bit, because there is all sorts of Apollo 11 references throughout this, and the whole theory is that the government hired Kubrick, coming off the coattails of his perfecting 2001 Space Odyssey, hiring him to do footage, faking essentially ideas that the government, that we never went to the moon, and that all that was just on that whole thing. I mean, look, it's been scientifically proven we went to the moon. That this is a non-issue. It's just that you got people who think that the Earth is flat.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And it's, you're always gonna have people who question this stuff.
I think it was pretty fucking funny. Let's say there's absolutely zero truth to it. I still think it's a funny little dig at the government.
Well, no, certainly it is. And here's the thing, we watched that documentary.
Yeah, Room 237.
Room 237.
Yeah.
My take on that is slightly different. It's if the government did hire him to essentially stage a moon landing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's not because we didn't go. It's not because like the government was all hyping it up and going like, we're going to the moon in this decade and the next, and they couldn't get the technology to work. And so they couldn't. And then they were like, oh, we got to save face. I don't, that's not my take on it at all. My take on it is that we absolutely did go, but the government said there is no way in hell that we can actually show live footage of that, because we have no idea what's going to happen. They could step off the moon lander. What do they call that? Anyways, they could step, they could step off that thing and puncture their suit and freaking die, and we can't have astronauts dying on live TV.
Yeah.
And so they hired him to film footage of that to be shown to the public, but then behind the scenes the real thing was happening.
Yeah.
That is my interpretation. If you're to believe this, If you're to believe that that's a thing, and that the Kubrick used The Shining as his
platform.
coming out of the
Yeah.
closet, platform for.
Well, I'm sure. Let's just say for shits and giggles, what you're saying is true. There was some ironclad non-disclosure agreement.
Of
Probably.
course.
So
Yeah.
he can't come out and say anything.
No.
So he does this instead. Now that,
Easter eggs.
that documentary to Room 237, there were elements of it that I did like.
Yeah. Sure.
I'll say for the most part, I didn't care for the documentary. I just thought it was some of the stuff they were saying was so out there.
No, yeah. Yeah.
But I will say some of the moon stuff had me rethinking it.
Well, I mean, dude, there's no denying there's elements in there. There's no denying it, man. I mean, Danny's sweater. This has a friggin' Apollo 11 right
Yeah.
on there. The very shirt you're wearing is the carpeting.
Yeah.
And there's a scene where apparently on that documentary they talk about how that is set up just like the launch pad.
No.
You know what I mean?
There you go.
And where, that one scene when Danny's playing with his toys?
Yeah, where it's open and then it's
Right.
the next scene it's
Right.
closed off.
His
Yeah.
toys are actually positioned exactly as, I think it's either buildings that are around the launch,
Yeah.
So, and then inside the storage room, Tang and all of that
Cool,
stuff.
yeah.
There is no mistaking
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
that
Yeah.
there is Apollo 11 Easter egg imagery and what that Kubrick put in there.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
No denying that. It's just
No, there's not.
why.
That's and that comes back to my initial question at the beginning of this. It's like, again, he is calculated.
Yeah.
There is a reason for everything Kubrick did.
Right.
Yeah.
And so all I'm going to say on this to sort of circle back around is if we go off of the idea that this occurred, I do not believe that the government just couldn't figure out a way to get us to the moon because it is proven, scientifically proven we went there.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is not a case of that. If anything, this is a case of I could see the government going well, we can't have American astronauts dying on live TV. So we need footage that we can show is live.
And the thing is, Darren,
You know.
it's even possible that us talking about this, it's no one else knew of it other than a few people. The filming part of it and Kubrick doing that.
Yeah.
The astronauts who are there, they're thinking they're being filmed and they're playing right along with it.
Correct. I don't even think the astronaut, to your point, you just said, I think the astronauts absolutely thought,
Yeah.
okay, if we're going off of the base of this is the reality,
Sure,
right?
sure.
I mean, so you got two schools of thought. Either what we saw in 1969, live on TV was just real footage. Okay, there's that. Or this theory, that right? Then if we're talking about this theory, then for sure, government wasn't going to even tell the astronauts that they weren't being filmed.
Oh, no.
You know what I mean?
No, they would not.
No.
And like I said, there's probably only a handful.
But right-
If there's any substance to this theory, only a few people would have known.
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
And I mean, right, guys, if you guys stop and you think about it, isn't this exactly what our government would do?
Yep.
Right.
Without us getting into all that, yes. One word
Couldn't
is
you
yes.
absolutely see our government?
Absolutely.
Isn't that the quintessential government mindset?
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. For
Right?
sure. Without us getting into the weeds and
Especially-
getting on a tangent.
Right. Especially in 1969.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. What other stuff haven't we chatted about, man? That is relevant.
Yeah, let me think on that.
As we have the movie playing in the background, all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy.
Yeah.
I've always loved that over and over again.
I love how as she's flipping through the pages, he's all messing around with the margins. He's making
he puts a
shapes
tab
and,
in there or something, and
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
how do you like it?
Yeah. I really, really, I think that this scene is also one of my favorite ones when she's going up the stairs backwards, like crying and stuff. And he's like, oh, I'm not going to hurt you. I'm just going to bash your brains in and stuff like that. Like, I thought that this was a really powerful scene because like it's terrifying. Like you can tell he's out of his mind and she's scared to death and she just wants, you know, to be left alone. And like, it's really prominent. I think it's a really like impactful scene to really like show like the dynamic between like how he thinks he's got like all this power and she's just like this little shriveled up like character. But like, I think it really ties into how we underestimate Wendy throughout the whole movie because she knocks him out and then she drags him and she's a lot stronger than I think people play on and like lead on for her. So I think it was a really good, like, it shows that power dynamic that like people think there is. And then it's like, just kidding. Like, no, this is actually not what it is. And she's a lot stronger than she looks. And she's a strong character. She can stick up for herself. She can defend her family, you know?
Well, I mean, that's pretty much what she did. She basically said, you know what, hell no, I'm going to stand up to this, you know, and protected her kid. And
you know, what's funny is through this movie, and I don't know if this was intentional again, because Kubrick is always intentional. I always felt with Shelley Duvall's character, Wendy, she was not the smartest, not the brightest. She looked very fragile. And he always seemed to talk down to her, almost like this disdain for her. And I don't know if it was always like that or it happened after, you know, he hurt Danny and whatever else transpired, but he just always like there's a scene where she's talking about the writing process. Yeah. And he says something like, yeah, that's all that needs to be done. But he does it in such a way to, you know, look down on her.
He's just condescending.
Yeah.
And that really, I think that this just speaks to his character.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's, I think at play there, you know, is that's just him. He's just a condescending chauvinist dick.
Yeah.
Really. I mean, you know, and understand, you know, again, you know, it goes back to lineage, you know, time period, and then, you know,
is it possible too? Because you go back to what you just said, Darren, with the lineage thing, right? Let's just say there's all these different relatives along the way. Do you think that this particular Jack was picked? Again, I'm just saying the word picked. It could have always been his destiny, but they viewed Wendy as a easy target. You know, and there's going to be no trouble here. She's going to be...
You know what? Yeah, I think that what you might be saying is right, because when he's locked in that freezer, the Grady dude's like, it turns out your wife is a lot stronger than like we anticipated or we thought and stuff, you know?
Yeah.
So I think that definitely could be good theory because, I mean, it's said in the movie, it's implied that like they thought she was weaker and more fragile.
Now, as to whether or not every single season they can't.
No, they can't.
Obviously they can't. So I don't know, you know, that's not really explained, and to be honest with you, I don't need that to be explained to me. I don't care what happened during other seasons.
I don't care either. Yeah. We just know that bad shit has happened over the last 70 years in this freaking hotel.
Definitely.
Look, let's go ahead and assume that you know, because that Ullman guy was saying it, you know, like, let's just assume that every single year they happen to get someone
new,
right?
Yeah.
And during those times, everything's just fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I think and I think this is where like the lineage comes in. I think it ties into the lineage. Like, this is now the time that someone from that Charles Grady's family is like, hey, I'm the caretaker.
Family.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So I think it's not, I mean, it's not every single like winter they have someone from that family. Because
so, and then you could, I don't know, you could argue then that, okay, so Danny gets older, right?
Yeah.
And then has a kid or whatever. You could argue that, say, 70 years from then, there will be another.
Yeah.
Well, see, that's the thing. So Stephen King's follow-up book, Dr. Sleep. Yeah. There's actually a movie, Dr. Sleep, which I watched.
Is it good?
It's actually decent. It's not bad, and it ties a lot of some of the stuff in. And now I watched it a few years ago, and you know my memory's garbage. I'd have to watch it several times to to be able to talk
I'll have
about
to
it.
check
But
that out.
yeah, it's not. I was reluctant going into it.
Well, right. I mean, 'cause you don't wanna tarnish.
Well, exactly.
Shining.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
just it's a classic, and it's like, well, how are you going to continue this? And it's like, and so I have not read Doctor Sleep. I heard it's a really good book, and I thought the movie was pretty
Was
good.
it Stephen King?
Yeah,
Did he-
yeah. Stephen King wrote
Was
the
it
book.
a continuation of The Shining, or was it just based in the?
It's later on in like, so he's an adult and he's trying to deal with stuff. And
Danny.
yes, and he shines with other people that can shine.
Okay.
And it follows someone that basically will kind of almost be able to suck those powers, so like, let's just say shining's a superpower. There are these people that are trying to remove it from them, and they get stronger.
Got it.
It's not a bad movie. Look, it's not The Shining.
Yeah.
Let's be honest, because there isn't. This is like, dude, this is top 3 or 5 of all time, man.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is.
Yeah.
Just because of the music and the directing and the cinematography and the everything. Everything is just top notch in this. I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, I mean, people would probably say I'm crazy. Look, The Exorcist to me is the best and the most perfect horror movie, but this is pretty damn close.
Yeah.
Someone would say maybe Texas Chainsaw Massacre or Evil Dead, but whatever. It's fine. Everyone has their own opinion. These are pretty damn close together, man.
Yeah. I agree.
So
Yeah,
I don't know anything. I'm trying to think. Do we leave anything that's kind of, I don't know, relevant or maybe a theory or anything that, hey, I saw this and caught this and I don't know. No?
I don't think so, Shealee.
I don't think so.
No?
I'm trying to like recall because I just recently watched it again.
I mean, we know Danny and Wendy get away, and
Yeah.
Jack freezes to death in the maze.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there was the scene in the, I think they were back in the ballroom where all of a sudden it's like cobwebs and everything.
Oh yeah. And then there's a bunch of skeletons in the room.
that are all
Yeah.
kind of dressed in the 19.
Yeah.
What did you think about that part? I honestly, that was another part I was like, it's whatever. I mean, I don't mind it. It was just whatever for me.
To me, it was just more imagery of snapshots of
the imprints,
imprints.
as
Of
imprints.
just dead and gone
yeah.
guests of the hotel.
Yeah.
And like,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm gonna talk about a scene that irritated me, the one that's playing right now, when she's dragging Jack to the freezer and then she's trying to open the door, but she doesn't realize the lock is still in the door.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
That little pin.
That so irritated me. I was
did
like,
too.
come on, like
Because I know you do what I did. He's gonna wake up. He's gonna wake up.
wake
Herb,
up,
get
he's
his
gonna
ass
get
in the
up.
freezer.
Right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, it's just that scene really frustrated me. I was like,
It didn't. I don't know. It didn't bother me as much because, I mean, look, it's not as though every other day I get bonked in the head by a bat. But,
yeah.
But I have had my bell rung,
Yes.
and I mean, what happened with him with the bat was substantially more than your bell rung.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, so as he's coming to, there's no way he's coherent enough to even do anything. So it didn't bother me.
So probably concussion.
Oh,
he gets
God,
hit
yes.
and he falls down the stairs.
Yes,
Yeah.
So in
absolutely,
concussion,
absolutely, dude.
So
him coming to, it would take a good solid 10, 15 minutes to even try to get the cobwebs even,
and I totally agree. Like, I mean, it looked like he was almost like foaming or drooling. Like,
Yeah.
these are things I would say, I would totally, I think would happen in a situation like that.
Absolutely, dude.
You know?
Yeah, so it didn't bother me too much. I mean, it annoyed me because I guess it would be the Shining equivalent to a person trying to escape from a serial killer and they get in their car and they're fumbling for the keys.
Yeah.
It's like
Oh, hey, here you go. Perfect example is Halloween. When Jamie Lee Curtis is running across the street to the house
right,
and it's
she's
locked,
trying-
she's trying to
get
yeah.
That's to me is the Shining equivalent.
But to me, see, stuff like that is kind of trope-ish. I'm not saying this was a trope, but that's
Well,
stuff. A car that doesn't start when
it's all intended to add tension. It's just
And
it's
it
to
does.
get the audience
It does,
to
yeah.
be just
It's
you
like,
know,
hurry up,
Yeah.
hurry up.
hurry up,
Oh,
right?
I
I mean,
still
that's
do that.
the intent, and
Yeah.
and it works. It works
It does.
absolutely.
It does.
So
yeah.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, no, I didn't. I didn't really have a problem with it as much. But I understand what Shealee's saying. To me, it's like
it's right
hurry up
there.
and
You can
close it
see
and
the
lock
damn.
it.
You can
Yeah,
see
I
the damn
know.
pin.
Right.
It's like friggin' right.
I know, but when you're in that situation,
Yeah, the fight.
You're panicking,
fight or
you know,
flight.
fight or flight.
yeah, and it's like, oh man, because we see these movies and I would do this and no bullshit, you would unless you're presented with that,
Yeah.
you have no idea how you're
Yeah.
gonna react.
Yeah.
Me, I'll be honest, I wouldn't last long in a slasher. Honestly, if I was like, I probably wouldn't last long, or I would go and if I knew something was going south and there was a killer, I would hide and you wouldn't see me for days. I'd stay in that same spot until it was all done.
Yep.
I'm sorry, folks,
Yeah,
but I'm just telling you how it is, man. I want to survive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think, but I don't think that we. There's,
No?
Yeah, I think we covered everything, man.
I think we did.
Yeah, I don't
we
really
jumped
know if
around a little bit, but it's almost impossible not to do that with this type of movie, man.
Yeah, you can't go in order because
no
there's so many
way.
things that lead into little other things that happen in like
Yeah.
future parts of the movie. You can't go in order.
I think we hit on just about most everything. We got in some theories, maybe some conspiracy stuff that I think we touched on a little bit of all of it.
Yeah, pull a curtain back, for anybody who's listening. We had all been, we weren't sure if this was going to warrant like a part 2, or we were going to get so far in the weeds that we'd end up having to revisit. But Rick, I honestly don't think that we need to revisit.
No.
I don't think we do
but,
either.
I mean, maybe
I'll be
we can do
honest.
some special episode, but I don't
No.
really think it warrants that.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think I was intimidated by this movie talking about it because I know how complex it is.
There's a lot of layers to this movie.
There really is, Shealee, and it's like, and I honestly, I don't think any movie really intimidated me as much as this one, and that's probably partly why we're now into this is 77, and yeah, and so, but I think I think it was good to have the three of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I feel satisfied. Hopefully, the whoever's listening
I hope so.
got a little bit out of it. I don't think that it warrants any.
No, I think we're
Yeah.
good.
We're
I think we
good.
wrapped it up, put a little bow on it. Yeah. Well, thanks again for you guys coming out, Shealee. Always a pleasure having you out.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Two, really, the two she's been on have been two
I know.
classics,
I know.
man.
We have to figure out another class so we can get her back.
I
on.
know,
Yeah,
no
yeah.
kidding. Well, anyways, I guess that's it, folks. Anyways, everyone, thanks for listening. We always appreciate it, and take care. You listened all the way to the end. We appreciate that. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Ear for Fear Podcast, Twitter at Ear for Fear, and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Ear for Fear Podcast. You can also check out our website, earforfear.com. There we list news and events. We're available on all the main platforms, so make sure you tell a friend. We hope you come back and get an earful.